Well, hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Ultimate Wellness Group Transformation Tuesday. You see, I have my brother posted up with me, and today will be the last day that we answer the questions from Savior's Day 2021. That was on February 26th. We had a program about this pandemic and how you can use How to Eat to Live to take care of your immune system. And we had quite a few questions that we weren't able to get to all of them on that day. So we spent the last few weeks answering your questions. So today we will finalize those questions, talk about How to Eat to Live for a few minutes, and then we will have a brief discussion about vaccines, and we will let you go on the rest of your evening. All right. So in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I further bear witness that God came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, taught one from among us. Of course, I am speaking of the man that is the foundation of this show, and he wrote this book called How to Eat to Live, a two-part series that revolutionized and totally re-energized my medical education and my practice, what they call the practice of medicine. I would better refer to it as being a team member in people's health or healing journey. And so neither one of those beautiful, great men left us alone. They left us in a dark time that we are living in with a wonderful counselor, a guide, a teacher, a friend, speaking none other than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. In their names, I greet you in the words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. For those who may have, yes, sir. For those who may have never heard that type of an introduction, I introduced my program like that because I want God to be the center of my thoughts. I want him to direct the words that come out of my mouth so that you may be a conduit of worthwhile information that you can apply to your life and see the reality of how it can change you for the better. And I also start that way because I want my ego and my arrogance to be removed for your benefit. And so that's why we start that way. And the words Assalamu alaikum simply means that I wish and pray peace for you and your life. And so I pray that this show brings you some of that. And in a time like we're living in, we, of course, need a lot of peace in a world like this. So, Brother Tariq, you want to greet the people?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you again for inviting me on the platform, beloved. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who came in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom all praises are due. I further bear witness that he raised two men, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Is in their holy and righteous names that I greet the audience of the Ultimate Wellness Group with the words of peace and paradise, as we say in the Arabic language, of Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother.
And I look forward to getting started. I know I was missing in action in the last episode, but I'm back.
Yes, sir.
And I look forward to getting into it.
You know, before I even get to the shout outs, man, everybody loves when you come on the show, bro. That's like always some of my best rated shows, man. The people
Praise
love the information. So yes, praise be to Allah. So my brother Khalid Muhammad, hey, bro, I still owe you an answer, but it's coming. Okay, I apologize. But he's in the house. Wa alaikum salam. Jasmine Crum, appreciate you being present. Jerome in the house. Any Wright, Khalila Muhammad, Linda Ianzinga, Daisy Muhammad, Sister Queen, 80 Electronics, Kiara Muhammad, should have known she was going to be here. Faith X MGT, come on now. Damon X Johnson, Catherine Muhammad, Daryl Muhammad, Lynn Ali, and Leanne Muhammad. Wa alaikum salam, and thank you all very much for coming and joining the show. So many regulars and so many that make the show such a wonderful place to come and interact, right? I want you all to know, you regulars, people that give the compliments and people that, you know, give me updates. There have been so many people over the last, I would say, since Savior's Day, that have reached out and talked about how much they appreciated the show that we did And I'm just thankful because there's so many of you that are saying that we, Brother Tariq Muhammad and Sister Mariam Farrakhan and myself, that we helped you get back to How to Eat to Live. We helped you put your spirit and your energy back into making that book a reality in your life. And I can't take credit for that. We got to give credit to the man who wrote the book and the man who taught him, right? Just for those who haven't seen or haven't really noticed the book from God in person, right? So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad doesn't take any credit for what he wrote in that book. And I and many other people give so much credit to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for who they are. And speaking of that man behind me right there, if you can see that picture, it might be a little out the screen right now. Actually, I'm going to take Brother Tariq out real quick so you can see it, and I'm bringing him right back in. You see that picture right behind me, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? You don't hear him speak without giving credit to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so it is my desire to look at those two men that I mentioned as examples. And for anybody that would take that statement and think that's about idol worship or anything silly like that, no. When I was a young boy, I used to try to emulate my father because I thought he was everything that I wanted to be. And now I look at men who are spiritually the example that I want to be, mentally, physically, from a marriage perspective, from a career perspective. These men represent a goal. They represent something to aspire to. So no, it's not personality worship. It's not idol worship. I just can't take credit for what the book How to Eat to Live did for me, my life, and my career. And so that's why I'm always going to give credit to those men. And that is the reason that I believe you have some good things to say about what comes from this show, because it is based in some very knowledgeable, beautiful men that are responsible for raising us. And so if we're going to follow those men, then we're responsible too. So for all of you that give compliments to all of you who have stepped up your How to Eat to Live game, I'm thankful to Allah for you getting that inspiration from us. Anything you want to add, my brother?
Brother, you took the words right out of my mouth. I don't think I have to say anything else after that. I'm just excited to get into it. As I said in the beginning, I'm happy to be here to lend my knowledge. As Dr. Keeley said, his bear witnessing of How to Eat to Live is coming from the clinical side of things. Mine is the same thing, but on the laboratory and research side of things. So my job is to support what he does, and then vice versa. We just come at it from different sides of the same coin, so it's good to always see the doctor and the scientist work together in this capacity, because it eliminates all of the he said, she said type of environment when it comes to science. And in this pandemic, that he said, she said with a doctor or a scientist or whatever is prevalent, is very prevalent.
Yes.
So I love this show because with all of us being here at the same time eliminates all of that. So like I said, I'm happy to be here.
It's like the point guard and the shooting guard.
That's right.
Or if you got two guards that can do both of them.
Right.
Yes. Multi-millionaire. Good evening. Priscilla B. Timmons. Greetings. Joshua Stoney, Shirley X. Stewart. Walaikum salam. So the first thing that we're going to jump into, of course, you all, is don't sleep on that Navy bean. So
don't sleep.
Right. Come on now. Somebody asked if the Navy bean has quercetin. So I'm going to let you, the Navy bean expert, take that one, brother.
Well, the Navy bean, see, one of the beautiful things about the Navy bean, it has so much in it.
Yes.
But and I'm going to reiterate this every time I talk about the Navy bean, and that is those amino acids. Yes. Those non-essential amino acids I want you to think of it like whenever you are, going outside, right? Your clothes, the clothes that you wear protect you from the environment, right? So if you're going outside and it's December, you're going to wear a jacket that protects you from the cold, a coat that protects you from the cold weather. Think of the amino acids in that way. When the body is trying to grow and develop, those amino acids are there to not only protect it from the outside environment, things that are coming into your body, but build the things up in your body necessary to do that. So when it comes to quercetin, you know, some of those amino acids serve as the building blocks or the precursors for the development or the absorption of quercetin in the body. So
right.
it's not necessary for it to have it, but some of the chemicals in the bean allow the body to not only absorb it, but also produce it for later use. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, you did. And, you know, I just want to say to all of those who may be wondering what quercetin is,
Right.
just put it. I don't want to really get into it, bro. I just want people to know that there are a lot of words like that, not only in a navy bean, but many fruits and vegetables that are natural to the earth and the best foods for us. We could sit here and have a whole show on the different zeaxanthins and the cryoxanthins and the cryptoxanthins and it is really not necessary for those who don't need to go into that type of science to know those things. But it's just good for you to know that there are many different substances like that in the navy bean. And when you go into the different colors of foods, I've talked about that on previous shows, but it just goes to show that we as scientists can look into and study and research, break down and put things under microscopes, and we'll never get to the end of what Allah has produced. And that's why I think it's so right. That's why it's so powerful to have a book like How to Eat to Live with very plain words. There's not a whole lot of polysyllabic medical terminology in How to Eat to Live. But as you study, and as people in this scientific world study, the only thing that they do is keep running into bearing witness to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad never wrote How to Eat to Live or never wrote the articles that make up How to Eat to Live asking for anybody to substantiate him. Not in the 30s, not in the 40s, 50s, 60s, or the 70s. Nor did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad ever go anywhere and feel like his information was needed to be subjugated to somebody else's information. Not once. As Brother Abdul Qiyam mentioned during Savior's Day, there is not a person on the planet Earth that has taken the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's nor the minister's suggestion that if you can prove one word untrue of what he has given to the world, that he will pay you. One time it was $10,000, another time it was $100,000. You don't find anybody mentioning that. Mm-hmm. But a man who was taught by a superior being, and because that superior being taught him so much and so wonderfully and put him so far above any and everything that he had ever thought, he knew that his information was superior to anything that anybody was going to hear at that time and well into the future. And so that's the type of health book we are talking about. The navy bean is that type of bean. It has that type of nutrition in it. Those who are not in the Nation of Islam, you may not know this, but the navy bean is the only food that we know of that Master Fard Muhammad prayed. And it is told to us that he said he prayed over the navy bean 7 times. Because it was to be the foundation of getting us into the physical ability to accept godly information so that we could grow here. A bad, sorry, terrible vessel can't take godly information. So it's just something for us to think about, And since we're talking a little bit about the spiritual aspect of it, if we think about Noah in the Bible, we think about Lot in the Bible, Abraham in the Bible, we think about Talmud in the Quran, and all of these stories and many others, it wasn't the people that were getting their information directly from God and those that believed in that man or those men that were the most popular. They weren't the ones that were accepted by the government of that time, nor the general population. And so it's just something to think about. How to Eat to Live has been around for 90. Let me not say that. It's been around probably for about
a little over 50 years.
80 something of those 90 years.
Yeah.
Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad started writing articles not
Right,
too long after Master Fard Muhammad departed. So that would be 1934. But the point that I'm getting to is that this teaching has been around for a long time. My honest suggestion to any and everybody, if this is the first time hearing this or you've never opened a book before, please get it, please read it, please apply it and see what kind of results you get. Anything you want to add, my brother?
No. You know, some of us don't even pray over our food once. And here we have a God that has prayed over something 7 times before it even gets to us.
Yes.
You know, so that science in itself and the process in which he went about doing that and why he did that, you know, all of that can be found in How to Eat to Live. So, and when I said over a little over 50 years, I was talking about the actual publications of the book.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
You know, so just letting everybody know I'm not contradicting my brother. Just putting that out there.
Oh man, we on the same team. I just shot him an assist. There wasn't no disagreement.
Right.
Before we go any further, I got to get this grand drum roll.
Yes, I know
our sister is here. Assalamu alaikum, my sister. How you doing?
Praise be to Allah.
Can't hear you.
Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, sis.
You're on mute.
Oh,
there we go.
Walaikum salam. How are you?
Doing wonderful. We better now that you're here.
Right.
Watch all the comments just go crazy now. Everybody's like, she's here.
All 3 of us here at the same time.
That's right. That's what they wanted. A couple of shout outs, and I'm going to let you answer that question. Okay, my sister? George Allen, Daisy Muhammad, Christine Crowder, Charles X. Moore, and D.A. Gordon. Walaikum salam to all of you. Go ahead, sister. Do you want to add anything that you heard? Add anything to what you heard?
No. I really feel like I think it's really important that when you talked about the spiritual aspect and praying over your food and just taking that time, like I think sometimes when you pray over your food, and this is just my personal opinion and my personal experience, you know, you ask, regardless if you're Muslim, Christian, whatever religion, or if you're just a spiritual person, you ask Allah to bless your food. And it actually is a reminder to you when you're about to eat, because when you know you're eating some garbage,
yes,
not proper, it is hard to say a prayer and say,
come on now,
sustenance. And
right. No, daggone well.
Allah, please bless this McDonald's chicken McNuggets.
Right, please. Food, and you know, you cracking open a bag of Flaming Hots with some, you know, it's a beautiful reminder, because you pray over your food, you be like, if you're not where you're supposed to be, it's a reminder, okay, I really got to get back on track, because really I'm asking Allah to bless something that I know isn't about to help me. That's right. To give me sustenance, you know? So it's like I'm counteracting what I'm actually praying for. So, you know, it's when the physical and spiritual meet. So that's all I really want to just add.
I'm glad we don't see none of that red paint on your fingers and your tongue for the Flaming Hots. All right, so I'm gonna drop this one on you both. Somebody did ask on Savior's Day about what did we think about having gastric bypass surgery and following How to Eat to Live. They were talking about the fact that they were having a little trouble with the navy bean, maybe some gas issues or something like that. But I guess in general, I would like for you both to kind of comment on what would be our suggestion to somebody who has had a surgery, regardless of what the surgery is. But we can kind of, you know, touch on maybe the gastric type surgeries that many people are having these days to help them lose weight. Mm-hmm. And so if they are trying to make up their mind if they're going to have, you know, some type of surgery, or if they have already had it, what do you think How to Eat to Live? What do you think How to Eat to Live could do for them, one way or the other?
Doc, you want to answer that first?
So, from my understanding, there are about 3 primary types of gastric bypass surgeries, like the gastric, I think the sleeve, a couple of other. I think there's about 3 primary types.
Yes.
So the question was, if someone already has gone and actually has had the surgery, the gastric bypass surgery,
Yes.
did they do?
Yeah. The person who asked the question, they stated that they had gastric bypass and that they were having some difficulties with eating navy beans. And they were asking, what did we think about them following How to Eat to Live after having gastric bypass surgery? So I just kind of took it from there and kind of just, it evolved it a little bit to what would we say to people that have surgery in general, like in any part of their body. So now they have had something altered or something taken out. And then specifically for the person who is thinking about planning on researching because they're overweight and they're looking for something to give them, whatever it is they're looking for. And what would you say to that person, either thinking about or already have had those type of surgeries for weight loss?
And I have a quick question. So this particular individual who asked the question, did they have any difficulties or challenges with digesting the navy bean? Or are they saying that they had any type of side effect?
Yeah, well, they mentioned that they thought they were having some digestive issues with the navy bean because it sounded like they were having maybe some bloating or some pain with eating them. So yes, they did mention that fact.
Minutes to think about it, but Tariq, if you want to go ahead and chime in, I'm going to take a moment to.
Yes, ma'am. I got you. Well, first and foremost, what we have to ask of her is how was she preparing the navy bean? Where was she getting her navy beans from? How was she preparing the navy bean soup if she was doing the navy bean soup? According to her question, we don't know what she was doing with the navy bean. We just said she just said she had a problem digesting it. So there's a variety of factors that go into that, like the 3 I just mentioned. Then you also have, we also have to understand what type of gastric bypass surgery she did have. And then once we know what type of surgery she had and how she was preparing the beans and where she was getting them from, or she knew in general how to prepare the beans for a navy bean soup, then we can really properly, give her a good answer to her problem.
That's some good points. Yes, sir. Absolutely. By the way, it was a him, but everything still matters.
Oh, well, please, if that person is watching, I apologize. Please forgive me. Yeah, that didn't happen. So if you want to go ahead and edit that out after we
it's
go
all
live,
good, brother. It's all good. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun with this.
Praise be to Allah.
Sister Dr. Mariam, you got something yet?
I
know you're thinking 5 times before you think. 5 times before you speak.
And I'm thinking about the preparation. Back to what Tariq was saying, because, for example, in the nation and what we've been taught in MGT class, we're taught to soak the beans overnight, for example, so that it can eliminate that gas. So I do believe it has to go back to the preparation of how you're preparing, also the quality. And it's really hard to say whether or not it is the navy bean in fact that is giving that, maybe upsetting the stomach if you aren't ridding yourself of kind of like all foods. It's kind of like when you take a child and you're introducing new foods to them one by one to see what is or what is not kind of problematic for the child, right? So if you're eating a bunch of different things, it's hard to actually zero in on one particular thing and say it was this, because you might have had navy bean soup and a salad, but you also may have had some fish, so
right.
It's kind of hard to say, and I think you have to get a little bit more insight about the person's individual case to kind of figure that particular thing out. But slow cooking it, soaking it, it would definitely decrease any kind of issues you may have. Yeah, and even I think you can put like a little baking soda and things like that in the water prior to you cooking it.
Absolutely.
There's a couple of different tips and tricks you can use to help eliminate some of the side effects, but ultimately the navy bean is your best bet. So when you're talking about surgery and just in general.
Right. And I think both of you brought up excellent points. And just for the sake of the conversation of our listeners that may not know what gastric bypass surgery is, of course, like as we mentioned, there are many different types, but gastric bypass is a word that includes taking out a portion of the stomach, so-called to decrease how much you can fit in your stomach as far as how much you eat. And then the intestines can be switched up and eliminated depending on the type of surgery that you have. And so there are changes to the system that God put in the body. And I would agree that it would take some very specific information to give a person a specific response. But one of the other things is that a lot of people eat fruit with meals with heavier foods like beans and fish and vegetables. And that is another great cause of gas, and they digest at different times. And so there's just so many different possibilities that could cause you issues. And I think I pray that we answer the question, and I pray that you understand that to get specific, we would have to have more specific information. All right, so here's another one. Daisy Muhammad got an excellent question. I'm going to drop this on y'all. Do you consider cashew seeds or nuts? I'm asking because How to Eat to Live says nuts are not good for us. And they are not. What do you all think? Cashew seeds or nuts?
I say cashew. People say that they're not nuts, but I've always considered them nuts.
I do too.
Right. So scientifically, if you want to come at it from that angle, scientifically they're nuts. But now the second part is asking if they're good for you or.
Well, no, she's quoting from the How to Eat to Live, but that's what she was asking: is cashew a nut or a seed?
Yeah, it's definitely a nut. When it comes to how it's produced before it comes to your plate, it may be considered a seed, but it's still a nut because of its hard shell. So it's not about and she said she couldn't find it in How to Eat to Live, or that it's mentioned in there.
Oh no, yeah, she did. She quoted How to Eat to Live that nuts are not good for us. So that's what she was just trying to figure out, whether it was a nut or a seed. And by the way, on that same token, bro, from a scientific perspective,
mm-hmm.
What is your research that differentiates a nut from a seed?
Well, one of the things that differentiates a nut from a seed is that a nut, when it's grown in the field, a nut presents itself as a hard substance outside and inside. A seed is the center of a fruit. So if you take the hard seed of a peach and then take it out and process it, and then everybody's saying it's a nut, it's not a nut, it's a seed, because when it was produced from a plant, it was surrounded by the fruit. So the moment it comes from underneath the soil and under the ground, and it becomes a plant, whatever it looks like when you first see it will let you know if it's a seed or a nut. Make sense?
Absolutely.
If you look at the navy bean, right? The navy bean is a seed because when it's grown from the plant, it's in a jacket called a pod.
Right.
And that pod has several seeds. If the navy bean grew outside of the pod and grew independent of the pod, and all you saw was the navy bean by itself coming from that plant, then you would consider it a nut.
Right.
That makes sense?
Absolutely. And as far as like anti-nutrients, which are phytic acid and your I can't even think of the other one right now, but the lignins and all those type of things, aren't those in a much higher percentage in nuts versus seeds?
Oh yeah, those are some of those things can be very inflammatory. Can inflame the body in certain
That's right.
areas. You know, those are inflammatory substances. You know, and they are found heavier in nuts than they are in seeds. And even some seeds have those things where they're high, where they have a high content. You know, it's like the kidney beans, for example. Kidney beans have those substances in it. And that's one of the reasons, those substances alone are some of the reasons why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that God in person said no other bean other than a small white navy bean, because
right.
it has the least amount of toxic substances in it compared to the other beans.
That's right.
So yes, sir, I would definitely.
Yes. Great question, Sister Daisy. Appreciate that. Everybody saying hey to Dr. Mariam.
Really? Oh my
Sister
God.
Kiera says the three are here. Willie X Gates. Who else we got? Gilberto Maynard Muhammad says maybe it's the spices they are using. Yeah, I mean, that's another good point, because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad did say that you can mess up good food with the bad spices. The Royal Muhammad, wa alaikum salam. Jerome in the house says, for someone who never liked the taste of milk, would you recommend adding something like raw honey to taste? Want to start drinking whole milk? Also, what's the site to find whole milk you mentioned before? So the site that I mentioned was raw-milk-facts.com. There's a lot of information on there about milk, and it actually can tell you what part of the country and where in your region you can find milk in places. Of course, you still have to do your research. And I'll just answer that first and then let my brother and sister go. I can't stand the taste of milk. I do not drink it by itself. And so, so when I don't have frozen fruit,
I ain't mad at you.
right? If I don't have frozen fruit to make a smoothie, I literally will put milk and sugar in a blender, or milk and honey in a blender, until it tastes like something other than milk. So I'm with you, bro.
Oh my God.
Well, I don't have that issue. I actually like it. Oh, I might be the wrong person to ask, because guys, I can't drink milk unless it's really, really cold. Like, even if it's in the refrigerator, I have to put ice with it. But give me, a chocolate chip cookie or something and get a glass of But it's funny, because when I was in Cuba, I remember being excited at the fact that I hadn't drank milk in so long. And then it was hard to find milk. So, and when it did come, it came in powdered form, which I was not accustomed to. But I used to put sugar, cinnamon in it, and it was so. But yeah, maybe you need to be older. I don't know. That's it.
Hey, I'm just thinking about it now. You said that next time I don't have no fruit, I'm gonna put some cinnamon up in that sugar and that honey.
And it has to be two extremes. Like, it either has to be freezing cold, or you can do it like warm milk with, like, it was literally milk, a little bit of sugar, and cinnamon, and it was like it felt like tea to me. Right before I went to sleep, I know
that's. So we got another good question. Sister Queen says, I've always thought that mushrooms were not permissible to eat. However, a sister shared that they were fine to consume. What are your thoughts?
I was always,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. No, you good, sis. Go ahead. Ladies first.
So I was always, I remember in growing up in my mom's home, she would tell us that we're not supposed to eat mushrooms because they're a fungus. And so that was always kind of my take on the reason why we didn't, eat mushrooms and didn't like the taste of them anyway, but um, yeah. So I mean, that's all I was gonna say.
I say the same thing because, a lot of people say that it's mentioned in How to Eat to Live. And just for the record, it is not mentioned in How to Eat to Live, book 1 or book 2. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad does not mention mushrooms. But for the same sake that my sister just mentioned, because it is a fungus and because it grows on top of the ground and it has no root structure, because it's so much different than all of the foods that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad mentions that are good for us, and all the food that I've studied that is good come from plants that have roots that go down into the ground. That's the reason why I don't eat them. I don't like the taste of them. I don't like the way they look. I don't like the way they feel. But I have done a lot of research on mushrooms over the years, and they do have nutritional qualities. But there's nothing in a mushroom that I don't find somewhere else. So I don't have any reason to tell somebody not to do mushrooms. I'm just giving my reason why I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Anything, Brother Tariq?
Yes, sir. Well, the first thing I would say is, whenever something is not written in How to Eat to Live, or even if it is in How to Eat to Live, and he tells you not to eat it, always study the agricultural reasons behind why. 9 times out of 10, that's the reason why. It's not so much that it's not good for you, or like Dr. Keeley said, that it doesn't have any nutritional value. It's because the plant grows in a condition where it's not suitable for human consumption.
Right.
Point blank. It's 9 times out of 10 always the plant itself and how it's grown and where it comes from. So I've never had a mushroom a day in my life. That's not something I, consider to be needed, like Dr. Keeley said. And also, I want to make a comment on that milk situation. I'm with my brother on that. I can't drink milk straight up. My sister used to drink milk like it was water growing up, and she'd be the main reason why milk was always gone in the house every week. I would never understand how she just take that milk to the head like it's nothing. Man. But to me, it's a nauseating kind of vibe to it. And I don't want no parts of that.
None.
So y'all can have all the raw milk, all the milk y'all want, but back to the mushroom situation. Like Dr. Keith said, there's nothing in the mushroom that you can't get from anywhere else. And always look at the agricultural reasons for why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said not to do a certain thing. It's the same thing with kale. Kale it has some nutritional aspects to it, but because of how it's grown and what the plant is used for, it's not wise to eat them. And don't let nobody tell you that you can avoid that with greenhouses and hoop houses and all that too.
Right.
Even
garbage.
Then, it's garbage.
Garbage exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And then the other thing, that I hear a lot of people say is, well, Chinese people live longer than everybody else, and they have a very healthy society. Yeah, they eat a whole hell of a lot of pork too. So be careful where you're looking at for your information. I'm not trying to say that to knock Chinese people. That's not the point. The point is that don't just point at another country, another culture for why you do what you do, unless you evaluate that culture as an entity. Because there are a lot of things that are coming from a lot of places in the world. But when you really look into what is the reason that they do it and what are the cultural ramifications of why they do it, that doesn't have anything to do with you. It's not your culture. It's not what you come from. And so we have to be very careful with the things that we're taking from other cultures, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says in How to Live on many of occasions. When you follow all these people from all over the world telling you how to do this and that and how to prepare your food, how to cook and all these type of things, you most certainly will die. And matter of fact, I'm going to let somebody make a comment. I'm going to find the quote and read it. Oh, here it is right here. Wow. Oh, Allah. So
didn't have to look no further.
Page 48, book 1. We must not be confused, I repeat, with the various advice offered to us from the modern day food and medical scientists. If you take their advice and try to eat all of the different kinds of foods, cooked in all their many different ways, at all different times of the day, and there are many different suggestions on how much you should eat, you will most certainly die. So, be careful where you get your information from. Anything, my sister?
No, that's real. That's real.
Yes, ma'am.
I could actually apply that to me studying right now for my boards, and people tell you to do so many things, and it's just you can get lost in the confusion because every
Absolutely.
method is for you. And it makes me think about how the most Honorable Elijah Muhammad was talking about potatoes, I believe it was, and in message, I'm not in How to Eat to Live, and how those are supposed to be in frigid zones. You know, it's
Yes.
okay to if you're in frigid areas. So you have to be able to assess what is for you, what is not for you, and be okay with that. Don't try to do what everybody else is doing because that's the way of the land. Like, you need to figure out what's best for where you are at this particular moment. So, and like you said, just, kind of consolidate. You don't need to be getting information from a bunch of different places.
That's right.
Right. And
Find
just to
something
add
that
to
works,
that,
stick with it.
right. Just to add to that real quick, the red man, the yellow man, the brown man, they're all our brothers and sisters. But at the end of the day, there are still many biological differences in us compared to them.
That's right.
So the foods that they eat may not be biologically or physiologically compatible to us like they are to them. So that's one of the reasons why we can't take on their diets. We can't take on, their lifestyles, because some of what they do is actually for them in the areas that they live in. So they are brothers and sisters, but there are many differences that, determine how we'll live and how we'll grow and function.
Very, very true. Serious scientific information there, because a lot of times people think that that's just crazy talk, but different races of people from different climates, people from different parts of the world, and when you are not a person that has traveled a lot, there are differences in the way those bodies handle things, and it's usually accustomed to what's happening in their own environment. Lynn Ali, I think she asked a good question. I have read that there are different types of gastric acids the stomach produces to break down different food. If that's true, what types of food should not be paired with the navy bean? Well, I'm gonna make a clarification really quickly, and then I'm gonna let my brother and sister answer that if they would like. The stomach does not produce different type of gastric acid. There's only one gastric acid that the parietal cells in the stomach produce. But the pancreas, the saliva glands, the intestines, the liver, all of these parts of the body, and I should say the liver through the gallbladder, make different type of enzymes to break down certain types of food. The gallbladder's aim is to break down fat. The pancreas can help break down protein. The saliva glands help break down sugars. And so you have different types of enzymes that break down certain things that mix in with the gastric acid, but the stomach only makes gastric acid. And there are some other enzymes that are produced by the gastric lining, but only one type of gastric acid. I pray that clarified that. Anything, my brother and sister?
Doctor, I think you touched on it earlier today. You were talking about fruit.
Yes.
And we were talking about not eating fruit, or I don't want to say not eating fruit, but giving some space or some time between eating fruit and then going to your navy bean soup and salad and things like that. And I think you talked about maybe it being an hour or so. And can you explain maybe why that is? Because that's
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm sure everybody that is listening can bear witness that when you eat a piece of fruit, usually before you even finish chewing it a couple of times, it's pretty much already water. And so some of the studies that I've done over the years, research that I've done about how long it takes to break down most fruit, it's within a matter of 30 minutes to 45 minutes. Of course, excluding something like a date, which has a little more substance to it. But the typical fruits, the melons, the citrus fruits, the peaches, plums, all those type of things, very easily digested. But a fruit has a very high content of sugar. And so just like when a person is making beer or wine or any other those type of spirits, the fruit that you put in your stomach, if it's going to stay in the stomach as long as it takes to digest a bean or a vegetable or bread or some other things, that sugar starts to ferment, and it can cause a lot of gas. And sometimes they say that it can interfere with the digestion of other foods. So my suggestion is always that you should do your fruit smoothie or anything like that. You should do that an hour, hour and a half before you sit down and eat your main meal, so that those different digestion times can take place, and that fruit and that easily digested stuff will be moved into the intestines when you begin to eat foods that take a little longer time to digest. So I pray that answers anybody that need any clarification. I think really, go ahead.
I was gonna ask a quick question. Is it the natural sugar that's in the fruit, or is it all sugars? Whether it's from, or for example, like if you commonly drink juice or things like that with your meals, should that weight towards the end of eating your meal type of thing? I just
I would say if anybody is drinking while they are eating or after they're eating, you're making a mistake, because based on my sister's question about the gastric acid is at the extreme side of the pH table on the acidic side. You see some people say that gastric acid has a pH of 1. Some people say it's 2. Regardless, it's at the extreme. So that means it's very acidic. If you're drinking juice, soda, water, wine, beer, anything with your meal, you are diluting your gastric acid. You're taking the gastric acid from way over here at the 1, and you're moving it towards either neutral or the alkalinic stage. And that's not what you want. When your stomach is digesting food, it needs to be a high acidic environment. And so every time you drink something after you begin eating, or if you drink after you finish eating, you are diluting that acidic environment. And so your digestion is going to either be aborted, or it has to be slowed down and your body has to remake more gastric acid. So drinking while or after you're eating is not a good idea. It doesn't make a difference what the substance is. And if I may touch on what you said about the sugar, I would say in this conversation, we're not talking about bad sugar, so automatically eliminate white sugar, but we're talking about terminato, raw cane sugar, honey. Those are natural sugars that are very similar to the sugars in fruits. So yes, I would say that would be true for just about anything that is high sugary. And that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that cooked fruit is not good for you. You really cook all the nutrients out of fruit when you do it. So when we talk about pies and things of that nature, most of the nutrients are not in there. So we're eating it for pleasure, but not getting much nutrients. But I think the same thing would be true, that high sugary foods, when like sugar is baked into something or something, like it becomes the fabric of that food. So it can be digested along with that. But if you just like put sugar on grits or put sugar on greens and other foods that people cook, that can add to gas problems.
Okay. Thank you for that.
No problem. All right. So I got one for both of y'all here. Willie X Gate says, can you all share some advice on high blood pressure?
Tons of things on that. Whoever want to start it off.
Oh my goodness, brothers and sisters, we got no words out of these two.
No, I was just waiting for somebody to start. I don't want to.
You can start.
What was the question again? I apologize.
Can you give some advice on high blood pressure?
Well,
don't sleep on that Navy bean.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm going to come back to. If you wanna, and I'm sure both Dr. Keeley and Dr. Farrakhan can attest to this. If you stick to the fasting and the Navy bean soup and eating one meal a day, blood pressure is an easy problem to fix, and that'll be the least of your worries. You know, blood pressure, all blood pressure is an indicator of something that you're either eating physically or internalizing mentally or spiritually, you know. So when you fix the root of the issue, and if the root of the issue is diet, if you fix the diet, high blood pressure will go away, you know. And then also too, high blood pressure it's not always high blood pressure for everybody in every situation.
Right.
You may have somebody with a high blood pressure, but there's a certain type of condition that they may have, so that may be the reason for that high blood pressure, or the job that they have, or where they work, or their overall, physical health. But high blood pressure can mean, different things for different people. So if you stick to the good diet, you keep your prayers up, stick to that Navy bean, don't sleep on it. The Navy bean shouldn't be that, okay, I'm sick, let me go ahead and grab the Navy bean. The Navy bean should be your best friend. It should be like a collar around your neck, that or necklace. That's how close that Navy bean should be to you. So, just stick to those things, and your blood pressure will be fine. That's an easy problem to solve.
My goodness, y'all, we got so many great questions. We're gonna be here for another 4 days. Anything you want to add, Sister Dr. Mariam?
Yes, sir. I think that one of the things is that we have to take the illnesses and the diseases that we suffer from very seriously. A lot of people talk about, high blood pressure or diabetes. Oh, I got the sugars. And it's just a thing that everyone is dealing with. And it's become so normal that it's acceptable to a certain degree. We've accepted the fact that, I have hypertension or high blood pressure. I have diabetes because my mama had it, grandma had it, and it was just a matter of time anyway. And I think that we first and foremost have to get out of that mentality and take this very serious, because high blood pressure does lead to heart disease, if not appropriately. It does lead to kidney or renal disorder or dysfunction, stroke, and other problems, and it really is one of those precursor diseases, in that
Yes.
it does lead to other illnesses if not treated appropriately. So I'm thankful that the brother or sister asked about this particular thing, because it is very common, but that doesn't mean that it's normal or it's natural. Right. So like the brother said, like Brother Tariq said, we really have to get back to the basics and think about what it is that we're eating. So diet is very important, and getting back to the Navy bean and eating 1 meal a day is the step in the right direction. But you also have to couple that with exercise, as well as that you are in the right mind and headspace as well. So even if you're eating right, if you're not thinking right, then you're not incorporating physical activity, then you're not going to get the results that you really want. So I would just stress that if you have or are suffering with this condition right now, it doesn't have to be a lifelong sentence of you battling this. This is something that you can overcome, but it's going to take real work, and you have to be willing to make those changes.
Excellent points, which leads us right into a comment or a question that Jonah Simmons has. She says, are people who eat 1 meal per day and eat as directed by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad collectively living longer lives free of illness? And so I will answer that. And I'm not really sure if Jonah is a male or a female. I apologize. I don't want to, call you the wrong sex, but I would say that looking at the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have the same trials, tribulations, difficulties of anybody else in the world, right? So to say that everybody that is a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is practicing how to live would not be an honest statement. There are people in the Nation of Islam, they know what how to eat to live represents, but struggles of life cause us all to deviate to some degree. So in my experience, being in the Nation of Islam now for 11 years, being affiliated around the Nation of Islam for probably 17 or 18 now, I do believe those that are practicing it and striving to practice it are illness free. In addition, I will say that there's plenty of information from around the world where people are challenging themselves with this ideology. No question where they got it from, even though they will not give the Honorable Elijah Muhammad the credit. But I always tell a story about this man I met in the airport. It was probably about 10, 12 years ago. And he was talking about his travel to someplace in Minnesota, in the state of Minnesota. They were up in the mountains and they were literally eating one meal a day and doing long fasts. And if you do any research on the internet with Methuselah Mouse or calorie restriction or calorie restriction, Methuselah Mouse, and intermittent fasting, if you look up those three words, these people are bearing witness to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. And it is a known fact that eating one meal a day or less and incorporating fasting in your life is not only giving people more longevity, but it is eliminating diseases, some that are considered incurable. And it's also giving people this refreshed, youthful look, like they are turning back the clock. And so that would be my answer to your question, because, I don't want to paint the picture like the Nation of Islam is this coalesced, perfect organization. We struggle just like anybody else does when we're trying to change and do better. Anything else?
I was just going to add that, and this is, probably not as eloquent as it could be stated, but but I was gonna say that really, in truth, people who strive hard in following and practicing to live, even if or they do become sick, they tend to bounce back. Not a eloquent word, but they tend to bounce back better and at a faster rate than individuals who do not practice how to eat to live. And what I mean by that is, we understand that we do live in a world where there is a lot of toxins and the environment is just not what it was even 50 years ago. So we have to understand that we're not completely immune to all things that are, in our environment. However, when we are less susceptible to certain illnesses, diseases, and if we do happen to become sick or fall off our deen for, a period of time, but we get right back on it, it's quick. Our body responds very quickly. So that's something that I would want to add to that.
Great points. Brother Tariq, anything?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Dr. Khalid, we were just talking about this before we went live, about making the body strong enough so that even if something does come in contact with us, like we can do what Dr. Farrakhan is saying is back and bounce back, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that if he told us everything that was in these foods, we wouldn't even eat.
Mm-hmm.
None of us would want to pick up anything,
That's right.
So I think that if we just understand that there's no perfect food and the things that we intake to survive and to flourish is not perfect. There's something in there, even with the Navy bean, there are toxins in the Navy bean that we don't necessarily talk about, but they're there, but in the cooking process and in the preparation process, some of those toxins can be destroyed. Right. So if we focus on not only the diet, focus on how we prepare the food, focus on when we prepare the food, then it'll make it a lot easier, for us to thrive in a world full of toxins and things that could take you out, depending on how healthy you are.
Absolutely. I'm looking through these comments and questions, y'all. We got a gang of good questions. So my question to the two of you is, do we want to spend the rest of our 30 minutes answering these questions, or do we want to tap into the vaccine? I'm going to lean to say, let's answer these questions. We could always come back and do some vaccine information. Y'all agree, or what's your vote?
That's fine. I'm with it. I'm with it answering some more questions.
Okay, okay. So Christine Crowder says, how do you eliminate cholesterol from the body?
Well, you don't, and if I may go first, you
Go
don't
ahead, bro.
necessarily eliminate cholesterol from the body. Cholesterol is found in the body in certain levels. It's cholesterol is on the surface of your cells to help protect the barrier to keep certain things out the cell and in the cell. Cholesterol is a natural fatty substance in the body. What you're trying to do is make sure that the cholesterol in the body or the cholesterol that you get from food is not overly present or overly saturated in your blood to the point where it will cause a problem. So there's nothing wrong with cholesterol. It's where you get it from and how much of it are you taking in. You can get cholesterol from the Navy bean.
That's right.
To be quite frank, you can get cholesterol from eating bean soup. I know that sounds a little redundant, but you can get cholesterol from anything that you eat. So it's not about removing cholesterol. It's about maintaining the proper levels of cholesterol in your blood. You got something called the LDLs and your HDLs, and these are just fat proteins that circulate in your blood that lets you know whether or not you got too much blood in here, or you got too much fat in your blood, or too little fat in your blood. And these things they pile up, or they grow over time, and it becomes problems. So the type of foods you eat, if you're getting cholesterol from your bean soup, or are you getting cholesterol from cheeseburgers and French fries?
That's right.
So don't think of cholesterol as a bad thing. Cholesterol is a good thing. How are you contributing to the amount of cholesterol in your body? And how are you contributing to your body's ability to control the levels of cholesterol in your blood?
Yes. Because if your cholesterol is coming in from good plant-based, and you're not a meat eater, and you don't eat a lot of junk food and a lot of processed foods, you won't have problems with your cholesterol.
That's right.
In my experience. Okay, so Lynn Ollie says, what effect does warm milk really have on the body? Is it true that it helps induce sleep?
I guess that question is directed.
Yeah.
You the warm milk drinker.
You're the warm milk sister.
I haven't done my research on that, but it kind of acts as the same way as like tea would. Anything kind of warm, like warm tea or hot chocolate or whatever it is, warm milk. I think it kind of is calming. And so when you kind of get in that calming, relaxed state, that's when people say, oh, you can help. Not say that it's a sleep aid, because I don't think it makes you go to sleep. It just kind of soothes you. So that's really what I was saying in regards to that.
No, those are excellent points. I think in addition, it does have all of the precursors to melatonin. So tyrosine and the other amino acids that are important for producing melatonin, which is highly tied to our sleep patterns. It does have all of that in it. So I think everything that you said is actual facts.
You better talk about them amino acids.
Talk about the amino acids. We're not talking about the Navy bean at this point, but that milk is pretty good.
That's right.
I don't even like to drink milk. Look at that.
Make it a smoothie. I'm with it.
Gotta be with something.
Right. Tanya Russ says, how do you increase the flow of oxygen throughout the body? How to increase the red blood cells? I'll just give you one word answer, my sister. Exercise. All right, that's not true. I'll give you two answers. Exercise, deep breathing techniques. But if you exercise, you're going to deep breathe. Anything else?
Or foods high in iron, like your cauliflower, your navy bean, the variety of different things that can get you that iron content, that also helps to produce the hemoglobin protein that is essential in carrying oxygen throughout the body. So iron is important, so get your iron up and, you'll be fine.
Yes. Okay, Aaliyah Muhammad, Lilo, she says the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in How to Eat to Live, Book 1, page 20, the fact that fasting is the cure for 90% of our ills is known by medical scientists. Based from your scientific knowledge, why did the messenger say fasting can cure 90% and not 100% of our illnesses? Woo, that's a question for you right there.
Man, I love that question.
Hey, that's a great question right there.
Great question.
That I think about that every day. Like, just when he said 90%, I always wonder what were the other 10, percent of diseases he was talking about or illnesses.
Yeah, well, I mean, the only, let me say, she said based on our research, right? I would say that the only two other aspects that are difficult for the body to heal are malnutrition-based diseases and then infectious diseases, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if a person is not in a good nutritional state, like right now, currently in this world, that's why there are a small percentage of people that are dying from this pandemic because they are malnutritious. If the body is in a good state, what happens when you get a cold or the flu or you get sick in any kind of way? Every single one of you that's listening probably has the reaction that most of us have, and you just lose your appetite. So the body automatically tells you to stop eating when it's ready to heal.
That's
the
right.
body has the capability of healing. That's a God-given reality when we're born into this world. It has the ability to heal just about everything that's in it. That's why he said 90%. I think when we're looking at things like maybe trauma, if we're looking at things like I said before, if a person is coming from a part of the world where there's a lot of malnutrition, like we see in some other parts of the world, we see right here in America where people are really big but malnutritious, and some infectious diseases I think are difficult to heal unless you have some things going in the body that it takes a lot of energy, like tapeworms and other type of parasites in the body. Typically with fasting, you can get rid of a viral infection. Sometimes you may need help with a bacterial infection. So that would be my answer. Of course, I will never say what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad meant. I will never try to act like I have the type of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that he has. But in my experience, sometimes, like he says, that people that are sick shouldn't eat one meal a day. People that are sick shouldn't fast. He mentions that in How to Eat to Live, because sometimes people that are sick need more nutrition to boost their body to get to a place where they can do the healing that they need. So that would be my answer, sister. Great question.
You could think of this, sir. You could think of think of it like a steal away method. Like if you for all the entrepreneurs out there, for anybody that's looking to build a business, before you even go out on faith that your business that you started can supply your needs, you have to have enough of it from that 9 to 5 to be able to go to that do for self enterprise. So it's the same with food. If you're sick, and just to kind of reiterate what Dr. Q was saying, if you're sick, you need that extra food until you can steal away from whatever else that you're doing to get to the healthy state. So there's certain things you just gotta have in place before you take that leap when it comes to your nutrition.
That's right. Anything, Dr. Mariam?
No, I don't. I think that you all pretty much covered it.
Sister Kiara says she's praying for much success on your boards, Dr. Mariam.
Right. Praise be to Allah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so here's a question. Multi-millionaire says, is tofu good to eat in the place of meat?
Lord have mercy. That's a and I'm not saying I didn't say that to come at the brother or anything like that.
Right.
But
right.
Tofu, there's this misconception out here that it's better for you than meat. A lot of people don't understand that tofu most tofu is made from soy. They'll tell you it's beans. You're right, it is a bean.
what tofu is made out other than soy?
Some people make tofu out of other dry beans like kidney beans, lima beans. Okay. But the main soy
just
that's on the
son.
market.
Yes, sir.
some people try to get away from that whole soy thing and replace it, but the main the main tofu products that are on the market are made from soybeans.
Right.
So they'll tell you it's made from beans, and they're right, it's made from a bean, but not the bean that you think is that not the type of beans that are that promote health. So no, there is no no benefit over meat. Both of them you need to stay away from. I put it like that.
Dr. Mari, I'm coming with something. I can hear her brain turning.
I mean, it's so interesting because, like you said, most tofu, some say bean curd, but it is the main ingredient is soy milk.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you do some research online, it'll tell you that tofu contains several anti-nutrients. And it'll break down and talk about how I think it's tyrosine. They call it a tyrosine inhibitor is found in tofu.
Yes.
Now, these compounds block tyrosine and enzymes needed to properly digest protein that you could be getting if you would be eating something like the small navy bean, but that there's these that pretty much inhibit or block the absorption of different minerals, calcium, zinc, all these different things. So tofu really isn't good for you at all. And yeah, I mean, I really do think that for people who are vegetarians, I'm not one, but if I were, I would definitely suggest that you use vegetables to make your meat-like products, So if you're going to use navy beans and broccoli and carrots to make bean burgers or things like that, do it that way. Because what's the point of you going vegetarian or vegan and then now all you're doing is eating fake food? What's the point of that? I don't really understand it. Maybe someone in the audience can break it down to me. But if the point is for you to be healthier, then that means that you should do what is healthy. So
if you're gonna give up meat, just give up meat, huh?
Give it up altogether.
Yeah. All right, Brother Tariq, we got a couple of questions about almonds, brother. Go ahead and break down that almond. Is it a nut or is it a seed?
Almonds are, just based on the agricultural definition I gave earlier, with how the plant is grown and whether or not you see the nut or you see the pod that it comes in first. Most almonds, I would consider those seeds. That does not mean that they're good for you. I'm gonna say that again. Just because they're seeds doesn't mean that they're good for you. Almonds come from your peaches and your different fruits, like your different types of fruits like that. But scientifically, it is a seed. But we can't use the fact that it's a seed to say that it's good for you or that you're justified in eating them. If that makes sense.
Yeah, based on my research, it's sure high in anti-nutrients,
exactly
at the top of the list. So
right. So
I can't lie and say I don't eat them sometimes, but they dang sure ain't no good for you.
Right. A lot of us, we use that, that excuse like, oh, it's not a nut, so I'm straight. No, you got some dry beans that aren't nuts, and not every dry bean like the navy bean is good for you. Your lima beans are not good for you. Your kidney beans are not good for you. These are very big and heavy beans. And the same thing goes for anything that's classified as a seed. Just because it's not a nut doesn't mean it's like, oh, you straight, you don't gotta worry about this. It's a seed. Nah, that's not how that works. If you're gonna eat something, focus on its nutritional value, not by what somebody calls it.
And speaking on that, that is the reason what he just finished saying, that I would make a statement, not an argument, not a discussion, not a put down, but I would make the discussion that's why veganism doesn't make sense, because the person who started veganism was an animal rights activist. He didn't want to harm animals. That's not to me, it's not a worthwhile reason to begin a lifestyle as far as eating is concerned. If you don't know the nutritional value of a food, you should really question it before you put it in your mouth, unless that's just your junk food, do whatever day. But if it's a regular part of your everyday life and it's a part of your lifestyle of how you get good nutrition, you should know something about what is in that food. And I just wanted to mention that because I thought it was an excellent point, Brother Tree.
Yes, sir. Praise be to the Lord.
So I pray that question was answered. Makeda Muhammad says, can you give some advice on what can be done to strengthen poor eyesight? Well, sister, I have made it publicly known that I plan on making these bald spots go away with hair by the end of 21. And in 22, I plan on taking off my glasses and seeing. There's a book called Take Off Your Glasses and See. And between fasting, and then there are these shades that have little holes in them that's supposed to help strengthen the muscle in the back of the eye that kind of deals with our focus. So the next time we come on, I will share that book. I'll put it up so you can take a look at it and get the author and all those type of things. And that's what I plan on doing, is trying to improve my eyesight. So I hope that helps. Now, what I will say is that I know that when I fast, especially on extended fasts, my eyesight gets better. As those days go on, my eyesight, I can go further and further and further back. Like I've put something on the wall or have something up there in my house that I can read from a certain distance. And as the days of fasting, I can literally sit farther and farther away and see that. So I definitely believe fasting is going to be a part of any program to improve eyesight. Martin Young. Go ahead, my sister.
I said, I wish I would have known that. I took the easy way out. I went and got laced.
Oh my goodness.
I was in.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I mean, these are blue light blocking glasses. So I don't wear prescription glasses anymore. And I think I had the surgery over about 4.5, 5 years ago. And so, I mean, it was one of the most amazing things that I did, in addition to going to medical school, but that and the fact that it was free. All
right, we're gonna need an update in 10 years now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Martin Young says, how about wheatgrass? It makes your stool green, and you previously mentioned how the nutrients shouldn't pass in our stools. Well, I've discussed wheatgrass before. I would include wheatgrass in the same family as the Swiss chard, the turnip greens, the mustard greens, the kale, the spinach. Out of all of those, the only one that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we should eat is spinach, and he said do that occasionally. Don't eat it all the time. Sure. And I think that what you just mentioned, in fact, that you can eat a green leafy vegetable, and the fact that you see green stools and you don't see that with other green foods that he did say we could eat, is a sign that we don't have an easy time digesting those things. So wheatgrass and spirulina, in my research, if I was to ever do anything like that, it would be for the sake of trying to pull toxins out of the body, which I think those two things do. But comparing that to the nature of the navy bean, avocados, broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, okra, eggplant, the other foods that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad mentions in How to Eat to Live, and the way that they pull toxins, I wouldn't go to wheatgrass or spirulina unless I didn't have those other things around. So that's my experience with that. And so that's what I suggest. Navy beans and whole milk are two of the most profound foods at giving nutrition and pulling toxins out of the body at the same time. Those two foods have some of the highest amounts of glutathione than any other food. And so I would lean on those type of foods before I would go to any of the green foods. Pray we answered your question. Oh, this is a good question. 35 Esmond Street, LLC, S Corp. I am a high level athlete. Is it recommended for me to eat one meal a day when I am burning so many calories in one training session? I may have a few sessions a day. I've had a few professional athletes in my practice over the years. I don't know if you're a brother or a sister, but I would say that in that environment, no. Mess around and pass out or cause yourself to have a lot of problems. You, in a position like you are in as a professional or a high class athlete, you could literally put your body into starvation very quickly, and it would be highly detrimental to your muscle structure, your mental acuity, and everything else that you need as a high performance athlete. So I think that's an excellent question. And my answer would be no. I don't think that How to Eat to Live is tailored to a person like yourself. On multiple of occasions in How to Eat to Live, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks about the sedentary person, the person that sits. That's why he makes a specific mention about rye bread being for people who work physically laborious jobs. He also mentioned that a person that's working a physical laborious job should not eat one meal every other day or one meal every 3 days. And so I would put a professional athlete in that category. But even more than that, I would say, like the professional athletes that I that I had as patients that were having, like yourself, 2 and 3 workouts a day, sometimes in the hot sunshine, you wouldn't make it with 3 meals a day. You would wear your body out and probably cause a lot more problems than you'd ever want to deal with. So stay with your whatever you are doing to maintain what you need. I would say eat as few meals as possible. Don't go to 5 meals a day, because that would wear your body down in a different way and aid you as you are a high time athlete. But once you get to a point where that type of activity starts to wane, have your number of meals start to wane with the decrease in activity, and I think you'll do yourself great. Anything, brothers and sisters? Brother and sister?
I would just add, just make sure that your food is quality.
That's right.
That's very, very important, because a lot of times high level athletes have to consume a lot. So they're focused on consumption and getting those calories and not necessarily the quality of the food that they're eating. So that's the only thing that I would add.
Yep.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
have to agree with Dr. Farrakhan, because, even though you can't eat one meal every other day or one meal a day, you can still boost up on the foods that you see in How to Eat to Live, like in Navy beans. Even if it's just eating a cup full of cooked Navy beans, to the point where you get all the protein and energy that you need, you're still consuming the Navy bean in some type of capacity. So, definitely, focus on the quality and the nutritional aspect of things, and just eat more of it in your case. So,
Yes. Kanisha X Anderson asks, best weight gaining foods other than avocados if one is doing one meal a day. I would never tell a person to do anything to gain weight, but I know some people who are very thin want to gain weight. Excuse me. I think avocado is an excellent source of good nutrition. It will help put weight on you. And the other thing that I would suggest if a person has a desire would be whole milk smoothies or things of that nature. But be careful when trying to gain weight, because even people who have small frames and have a desire to want to look different or look bigger, whatever the case may be, sometimes putting weight on you can cause more problems or start you with having problems. So just be careful with that. But those would be my suggestions. Anytime somebody comes to me and they want to gain weight, I try to talk them out of it first. But if I can't do that, because I'm not going to push the issue, but I always say Navy beans, whole milk, avocados, and bread would be the sources to help you gain weight. Why? Because all of them give nutrition in a very healthy way to give you what you need. But, gaining weight as an adult, unless you're a child gaining weight is not something I suggest to adults because it usually is, and I don't mean any negative to you, my sister, but usually a person that wants to gain weight is because of some image or some example that they're using for themselves that may not necessarily be realistic, right? If I have a certain body frame and I'm looking at this person that I think is built nice, that may not be for you. And so I can't say whether that is or is not what you're saying. I am trying. I pray that I did not offend you in any way by saying that, but I'm just talking about kind of some of the things that I've heard over my career. Anything else? Sister Mario, what you?
Laughing, and not to say, that I'm laughing at the sister who made the comment, because I can honestly say that was me 6-7 months ago when I came back to
Yes,
it was because the minister saw me as well as my godfather. And one time my godfather said to me, he said, you were so thin that you were kind of unrecognizable. Like I didn't even recognize you. But the minister saw me and he said, you look absolutely beautiful. And he talked about, me being thin. And I just remember coming back from Cuba and thinking to myself, I'm going to put on some weight because I'm too small.
Yeah.
I felt like I looked like a child. And I was like, this is inappropriate. I look like.
You're going to look 16 forever, sister. You're doing it right. You're going to look 16 forever.
But I would say, and I, to add to what you're saying, Dr. Akili, is that you will naturally gain weight over time. So if you are small frame right now, whether you have children or don't have children, 10, 20 years, you probably will be a lot, or I don't want to say a lot bigger, but bigger than what you are now. So you don't have to rush the process. I came back and I rushed the process, and now I'm trying to undo what I did. So, but, so I agree with everything that you said. I could understand someone being small frame and wanting to, gain weight. And so, of course, my thoughts were, to the gym. That's what I tried to, that's what I did, is went to the gym to and eat bread and carbs and like that.
Yes.
But, just, I think the most important thing is to be healthy. So, give your body time, because it's going to naturally put on weight with time. I think any older adult will tell you that. So that's all I had to add.
Well, it seems to me, Brother Tariq and Sister Dr. Mariam, that our brothers and sisters want us to do a perpetual How to Eat to Live Q&A, because there are so many beautiful questions still here, but we are at our time's limit. So I'm not going to put them on the spot right now, brothers and sisters, but I'm going to ask my brother and sister when we can come back and finish the rest of these questions. I know I have a couple of shows coming up in the next couple of weeks, but I'll talk to my brother and my sister offline, and we will come back and finish your questions. Can we give them that guarantee?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Praise
Absolutely.
be to Allah. Okay. So it's time to get off of here tonight. We've had some wonderful questions. As I said at the beginning of the show, I am absolutely elated and thankful that there's so many people that are saying that when we come together and we give information like we did at Savior's Day and like we have done since then, that people are really feeling inspired and feeling more capable of practicing how to eat to live. And I can promise you that that's why we do what we do. I can promise you that is making them just as happy as it's making me, because that's our motivation, to see the members of the Nation of Islam more healthy, so we can be a better exemplar. What's the word I want? Example.
Right.
I'm double talking words now, right? We would be a better example if we, as a body of people, represented how to eat to live better. but we also have a desire for Black people in general, brown people, and all people that are interested in improving their lives to look into this book and learn how to apply it. Because as you can see, when you sit and listen to us talk from a physician perspective that Dr. Mariam and myself are coming from, and from a future physician and currently one very good scientist, you can see that this book, this 2-part book, has such depth. There's so much profound information in it. We could talk about it forever. We could dig into it forever. We could pick one subject and talk about it for days. And so we're happy that we have helped people. We have helped you apply it, have helped energize you to apply it. And we pray that this helps build this community of followers of How to Eat to Live so that we can be that light shining in the darkness of a world that doesn't know. And for a world full of information that really isn't giving people results. And so we pray that you got news that you can use today. We pray that you can continue coming back to The Ultimate Wellness Group on Facebook or The Ultimate Wellness Group on YouTube. And, keep looking out because we're going to continue doing things together. We're going to continue trying to bring information that will help improve you. And so for me, that's it for today. If my brother or sister would like to say anything to close out, I'll let them do that. And we're going to let you enjoy the rest of your evening.
I just want to say, I appreciate, the both of you. I appreciate this platform. I myself will be getting rid of some of these cheekbones that I have and this extra flab of neck that I have under my chin, because when I was in high school, I was looking like JJ from Good Times. I'm not saying I want to go back to being that skinny, but I do want to trim off some of this extra fat, because when your suit don't sit right over your back, it makes you feel a certain way, so I gotta get back to the size that I know is healthy for me.
Yes.
And inshallah, this program and this platform is not only helping our audience, but helping me as well, because I'm telling you, I've never thought about How to Eat to Live as much as I think about it now.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah.
Not to say that I wasn't doing it, but because of these consistent programs and these opportunities to break down the science, it helps encourage me to get back on track with what I know is right.
That's right.
Yes, I'm there with you, Brother Tariq and Dr. Keely. It was an absolute honor to be amongst just such brilliant minds, because I really do feel like steel sharpens steel. So there is an opportunity to always be better and to learn more and research more, and not but to keep each other accountable. So I too am listening and learning and growing in my understanding of the teachings so that I can be better as a physician, our community and our patients. And so at the end of the day, we are a family. And I think that is so important that we keep each other accountable to this journey of being better. And so, I'm just happy to be here. So I can't wait for Ramadan.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm thankful to have to be in a company of your brilliant minds as well. I'm very uncomfortable with somebody using that word referring to me, but at the end of the day, I'm doing the same thing. I believe I'm back on my How to Eat to Live Dean. I think it's going to start showing as Ramadan approaches and finishes, and then subsequently getting back to what I believe is my How to Eat to Live weight. So I'm thankful that we're teammates, and I'm thankful for anybody else that joins us in the same process of being good examples and being stewards of this teaching so that we can help heal the world, which to a certain degree is physical, but it also includes a psychological, mental, and spiritual part as well. So thank you all for tuning in. We will talk to you, see you soon. And we pray that the rest of your day is wonderful and that your How to Eat to Live book becomes a stable mate somewhere real close so you can grab it real quick, and that we all continue to make progress, not only through How to Eat to Live, but also in any other spiritual way that you can. Okay. So thank you, and we'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace.